Hello, welcome to the Colors for Crafts podcast, the podcast that aims to educate, inform, and engage our audiences about the meanings of color, textile and craft coloration practices, and the future of color through research, education, and experiences, all stemming from the Colors for Crafts project based at the University of Helsinki. I am your host, Dr. Dustin M. Today's episode is our kickoff episode to launch the Colors for Crafts podcast. The title, Colors for Craft, is an acronym that stands for Color for Combining, Reengineering, Applying, Futuring, Transforming, Stretching, and is a project funded by the European Commission. Therefore, who better to have as our first guest than Professor Riikka Räisänen, the project PI and leader of the Colors for Craft project. I am delighted to introduce Professor Räisänen, who is a professor of craft science and craft pedagogy at the University of Helsinki. She has a background in natural sciences, in particular chemistry, physics, and environmental studies, textile technology, craft research, and education. Her research interests are in natural and bio-based colorants, sustainable textiles, as well as craft culture and textile heritage. Professor Räisänen currently leads several research projects on bio-based colorants, such as biocolors, funded by the Strategic Research Council at Research Council of Finland, and Colors for Craft. She has over 20 years of internationally recognized academic expertise in natural and bio-based colorants research. In 2016, Professor Räisänen was awarded with the Silver Medal of the Society of Dyers and Colorists UK for her work on natural colorants. Professor Räisänen, welcome. In July 2023, Colors for Craft was funded by EU Horizon and launched at the University of Helsinki. What is Colors for Crafts?
Color for Crafts is a research project that combines six different research institutes, or actually 5 different research institutes and one company. And we are looking for natural and bio-based colorants from the perspective of history and current application, and also for the future.
And how did this come about? How did the idea for Colors for Crafts come about?
Well, I had already done a couple of applications before about the topics, 2 of the topics. So the one research project was kind of focusing on the future of craft, and then one research topic was in the history of craft and history of dyeing. And then I got a phone call or an email from the UK to ask if I had any idea for a research project, and then I thought that, okay, yes, I do actually, and then I put this up that we will have this time span from history till the future and study the practice of dyeing.
What was the most challenging part of putting the application together and deciding which components would go into it, which team would be part of the consortium? What was the biggest challenge that you had there?
Maybe only the challenge was to write it in this short time period. But it was actually quite clear who partners I will invite to this project, and how this idea formed up in discussion with the people that I thought that would join here. So it actually went quite smoothly, and also when preparing this application, I think we had quite nicely kind of the ideas what each work package would do, for example, and how they will combine and intertwine into this project.
So that kind of takes us back to the point of you've had several other funded projects. So
not funded project, but project applications.
Project applications.
So already ideas.
Yeah.
How to bring forward research in these specific topics.
And that's biocolors and traction. The question is, how do those projects, those applications, inform the development of Colors for Crafts? Do they inform?
A little bit biocolor, a little bit Colour4CRAFTS. It wasn't initially my idea. The leader of the traction is from Malta, but then of course since I'm interested in colorants particularly, then we also in traction project focus on colorants in folk costumes. Colors and colorants in folk costumes, but yes, biocolor is actually that Colour4CRAFTS is kind of continuing the research that biocolor has been carrying out. Since in biocolor we are basically studying more on natural and bio-based sources that can be extracted and obtained from biomass as such. But in Colour4CRAFTS we go further and we modify the natural colorants to fit more on different type of substrates.
I think that's one of the exciting things about Colours4CRAFTS is, and traction as well, is that it's using what I would consider non-traditional countries that are usually you would form up with. You would do, like you've got the University of Tartu in Estonia, and you had Malta as well. Kind of shifting gears a little bit, how did you come, what is your background? How did you come to craft studies?
After the compulsory school and lukio, the how do you say, high school. Mm-hmm. Then I applied to study chemistry in the university. And, I liked chemistry a lot, but at some point I didn't quite find myself in working in chemical industry or also these final thesis work was not very well supervised, and then I didn't get any results for my research. And of course, in natural sciences, it's a result that you don't get results. It tells you that this is not working, but as a student, it's not very motivating. And then I thought that I want something more concrete from my studies, and then I started to study to be a craft teacher, and at the point I then had the course of natural dyeing, and then I realized that I can combine this background of chemistry to natural dyes, and I have actually then studied these natural colorants ever since I did my bachelor's thesis, my master's thesis, my PhD thesis on the topic, and research after that. So this was the good combination for me.
So I have to ask, do you actually enjoy doing crafting yourself? Do you knit? Do you sew? Do you do any of those things yourself in your spare time?
I knit sometimes, but lately I haven't really done much because my work is now a lot of sitting inside. So usually when I have spare time, I want to go outside and do some exercise and gardening and things like that. So actually, I hardly do any crafts at the moment.
That's the unfortunate thing about academics, is we're often stuck inside rather than being outdoors, which I think is one of the great things about Colors for Craft, is that there's a certain aspect of it that requires we look outdoors, we go outdoors. So I think you kind of enjoy doing that because your research now takes you outdoors.
Yes, exactly. This is really wonderful, and some of our researchers have already asked for the next field trip to the nature. So we have in BioColor project, we have done field trips every autumn, or almost every autumn, to pick mushrooms and other color sources. And they already asked that could we book a field trip to next autumn also. So it's really a great project. I like the multidisciplinary. Also, I like a lot of biology. And in this research, it's possible to study the species and what kind of colorants each species contain, and where is their habitat,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So it's really interesting.
You could not get me in science when I was a kid. I couldn't do the biology classes. I couldn't do the chemistry classes. So it's interesting now to be older as an adult, being from the humanities and looking at science, looking at how science informs, different disciplines. And that actually leads to, my next question is, why is it important to combine different fields of study, such as what Colors for Crafts has, which is arts and crafts research, history, archaeology, cultural studies, chemistry, natural sciences, education, and future studies. Why is it important?
Of course, if we look at the phenomenon, they are so nowadays they are so complex that really we need different angles and different backgrounds to look at the phenomenon, to really tackle the questions and challenges that we have in terms of sustainability, for example. And I think it's a really vital that we have understanding from different different disciplines and what all of these people from the different backgrounds, what they can bring to this project, and its research is a lot of learning from others as well, and I think that together, even that there are challenges like understanding the scientific language is also very different from natural sciences. What is it in history or archaeology, and people might not even very well understand each other, but still I think it's really great that we communicate and we go over these kind of language barriers or the way of thinking barriers and learn each other, and when we in this way we get more knowledge and create more ideas. How could we solve these problems?
And that's one of the things that I was drawn with in this project, is the fact that there's experimental research, which you often, particularly in the historical context, there's very, very few experiments that you can do with historical research. And there's also experiential learning. And this is one of the exciting things that students who take the courses that are connected to Colors for Craft, is they're getting not only the experiments, hands-on experience, but they're also getting the experiential learning as well. What do you hope to achieve with Colors for Craft? What's the goal? What's the aim? If this was the dream, what is the dream to achieve?
Okay, and I think that first goal is, of course, to increase our understanding of color, mm-hmm. and what is behind the color, that it's material and it has processes and it is produced in some way, because color is important. It's everywhere in our surroundings, but we don't really think about where the color comes from to clothing, for example, and this creates one of the most severe environmental problems at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I think that the most important thing is to of course study craft technique and craft practices, and so that they can and foster craft as human being is doing person, and we have two hands, and it's important for our well-being also to do things with our hands. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, also to look at the color and develop solutions so that we would start thinking about our consumption, for example, towards textiles or any other item, and how we perceive color as also as one issue when thinking if we are fashionable, or if we use some item, or if we don't use some items because of its color, for example.
Absolutely. So if we're talking about Colors for Craft, and we're talking about particularly how it relates to society, how people find meaning from it, how it's produced, and all of these things, how is Colors for Craft relevant to the broader public, either nationally within Finland, internationally, or both? What is the relevance here?
Well, I think color is very relevant for everybody, and as I told previously, I think we don't know enough, or we don't pay enough attention to color. Mm-hmm. And I think this is relevant for everybody. And but of course, then we have this futures angle, and we really have novel technologies that we are studying in the project, in developing new dyes, and this has really also relevance for the futures economies and futures societies to really foster also the pathway of bio-based colorants to the futures industries.
Absolutely. And it's thinking also about the way that nationally, what the history, what the context is, what the industries here actually do in terms of production of color, dyeing practices, things like that, but also improving it for the future, but internationally as well, thinking about fashion industries, how it can improve fashion industries, the production of fashion, the dyeing of fashion, and what colors in the future will have, what will continue to grow. I think that it definitely has a lot of relevance, as you said. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak about Colors for Crafts, and I think the rest of this podcast, all the people that we invite will definitely contribute different aspects of this and kind of pull out some of the things that you talked about. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.